turned on the generator and got some sort of sparking noise. And now we've got smoke coming out of a box. Still coming out.
Ooh.
Something bad happened.
No, it looks like it's a connection rather than a...
This doesn't look too good over here either.
So when I pull the cover off this box, it's a capacitor box. These big silver tubes in the back are capacitors, and these appear to be connections. I didn't know if there's a slow burn fuse between them or not, but I don't think so. I think what's happened is one of these is shorted out and kind of melted the rest, and they still work, but they're not in great shape. I'd like to get a new sets of these. But I think there's maybe something I can fix. I think I could probably hook these back together, but it's going to be, yeah. I mean, these aren't looking so good either. It looks like they've really overheated in there before. It's drawing a lot of current through these. Is what's going on. So I'm going to call the Fisher Panda guys and see if they've got these terminal strips. There is a Fisher Panda repair place on the island. So according to the schematic here, these are the connections, the wiring connections in it. The one that burned out is number 3 here, L3, and it's a generator 380 volt excitation output, so it's pretty high voltage. I don't know how many amps are behind it, but these are all the connections across. And so we were getting L1, L2, L3. It looks to me like a 3-phase system, and this would be neutral. Number 4, so one of the phases was shorting out, and the other 2 were still producing power and feeding it through. So I was seeing jumps and spikes on the voltmeter on the panel over here. This meter was spiking up into the 300 range and then back down. And that's clearly can't be good. The amp meter was bouncing around a little as well, but there wasn't really anything being drawn on it yet. It was just kind of up and kind of barely working. Well, having parts, especially the high voltage ones, bits are really important. What I found was, I'm having the Fisher Panda guy order me a new terminal block. There's a terminal block all through here. Like you can see, these areas have overheated and melted the plastic. I mean, this whole, and then what's happened is they've zip tied it together so tightly that the insulation had actually welded itself to the adjacent insulation. And I'm thinking that as pretty as it looked, I'm going to try to set this up in such a way that it doesn't. That it's not as tight as it was before. This whole panel, the concept of it is to keep it from touching the metal cover. So I'm going to try to find a way to get this kind of pulled back into place so that it can't get touch against the frame. That would be a short, and if you touched this outer metal frame and it was shorted out to it, you could take 380 volts straight into your hand, and that's something we really don't want to have happen. Well, sounds like the gen set's running nicely back in there. We've got it back put together. He's running a load of wash, and then we also have our battery charger going. Those 2 things draw about the most amps that we can produce. So far so good. We're going to stick around though and watch and wait just to make sure. These guys on Moonfleet have been with us. We haven't really met them, but they've got a really cool gaff schooner, and they're finally leaving. So they got a bunch of kids on board. It's a whole family. It's a big steel boat. It's really a cool looking rig. I mean, they really did well with it. It's all repainted, and it was a giant project. And off they go. So what's the deal?
So I jumped in the water to clean the hull, and there was a shark under the boat. So I got right back out. And now I don't want to go back in. So I'm going to look to see if he's still there or not. From the digging, because I'm a chicken. Does not appear to be there.
Oh, really? Okay,
Yes.
good.
Was that funny? It's not funny to me. I don't like sharks.
I'm sure they're fine.
Crap out of me. It's our last morning in Falmouth Harbor before we go to Jolly Harbor and get ready to pull the boat out for the year. So we're just hanging out, swaying back and forth.
Yep.
Boat's a little bit of a mess. But we've managed to hang in there for the last several months here. It's beautiful. There's our beach. Today is the first day of full reopening of Antigua, so we'll also be seeing which restaurants are able to reopen. We'll be back here in an apartment for a couple of days, so we'll get to see what Falmouth is like from the land side as well. It's Sunday morning and gonna have a little treat for once. We're gonna have some blueberry pancakes and some bacon, some leftover bacon for the fish.
Oh, look at this. We got sailbags. And sailbags most likely mean that sails are coming down. There's somebody napping on the job, though.
I am not napping. I am a human paperweight.
I see that.
I'm keeping our sail from leaving. Are we ready to finish?
Might be.
Very well. You must flake. Flake on.
A lot of times you end up kind of folding a sail in the same spot you folded in before. But we're of the opinion that you want to fold it in a different spot each time so that you don't get weak spots in the fabric. I don't know, other people may have opinions about this. This is the way we've done it in the past. Yeah.
What are you doing?
Getting sweaty.
I see that.
Just trying to tape mask off for the caulking. We're gonna have to do today. Feels like it wants to rain, but I don't think it's gonna.
I don't think it's gonna rain.
So I got this lid and that lid. This area's already done, but has not been sanded yet. Cutting off the safety wire. go up and take the Windex off. For once it's not me climbing up there. We'll give you some props about how good you guys rock and roll. This is Dwayne, the rigger. He shimmied up the mast yesterday, pretty much without any help. Yes, we got the boom off, getting ready to haul the mast. So we got that off. We've got our bang back here. Took the spinnaker poles off, so we're just kind of like all ready to go. Dwayne started by pulling the pins yesterday on all the bottle screws, and then turning them to make sure that they actually turned, because that was a big thing. We're going to have all the rigging inspected. We're going to be looking for crevice corrosion or any type of damage. At the very minimum for next year, we'll replace all the bottle screws, but most likely there'll probably be rigging as well. And then they have a crane on top of their travel lift here. So we'll be able to use the travel lift basically to pull the mast out. Wendy and I will just leave. We're standing around and watch from afar, but otherwise just get out of the way. It's really nice to be able to do that every now and again. How you feeling, Wen?
Nervous, but I think we're in good hands, and once it's done, it'll be interesting to have a boat with no mast, so yeah, we'll have a day of power boating.
Got the motor up to the other marina where we're getting hauled. We could have had the mast pulled up there, but they'd have to call in a giant crane. They don't have an easy to use crane there, so it's a matter of price really as much as anything. It's about half price to do it this way. We're pulling a mast on a Oyster 55 right across the way. We watched them do it, and the owner had called in the big crane, and the big crane came and it had a hydraulic leak. And Dwayne tells me that they almost lost the mast. They had a bubble, they think, in the hydraulic line, air bubble, and it just all of a sudden dropped about 5 feet. Luckily it was 10 feet off the ground or more when that happened.
Good morning.
But yeah, it was crazy. Well, here we are in the slipway. I think we've got it all ready to go. Everything's good. Poor little Talisman's not going to have a mast here in a little bit. I don't know what she's going to do. I'm going to freak out. Not be able to sail. One of the more amazing machines that are out there. Travel lift.
Trouble getting the mast out of. I'm not sure if it's stuck or too heavy. A little bit frightening. This we're using the travel lift, and I guess the crane's available somewhere, but it'd be quite quite expensive if we're not able to get it out with the travel lift. Here we are on Powerboat Talisman.
Yeah, it's crazy not having a mast.
Look at all that deck space. Wow, we could put some lawn chairs out, I think.
No.
Maybe a little tennis court. I suppose it's not really rolling more than normal, but it feels like it.
Yeah, this is always the craziest part, is coming into the slipway and into the well, they call it, and getting ready to get hauled. How you feeling, Wen?
Hot, nervous, stressed. I'm sure it'll be fine.
Yeah, it's
The uncertainty.
it's never easy. And yesterday we had the mast pulled, and that was a big drama. I mean, it was not drama at all. It was great. They did a wonderful job with it, but it was stressful on our part to see everything get taken apart. And like I said, they did a wonderful job, so I can't complain at all. But boy, it just really, like, I don't know, it just stresses you out. They dropped the boat into the trailer and backed it in here because otherwise there's no way the travel lift would fit in between these two boats. And I want to polish the hull next year, and I'm not so sure I can do it from here. Hopefully this other boat goes away. Maybe I'll just pay somebody. I don't know. I'm really kind of blown away by how many absolutely destroyed boats there are in this yard. And I think that, you know, from the hurricanes, they just salvaged them, and there's a lot of catamarans being put back together. And I think the idea is to make them into power cats. I think that's relatively easy to do. You just fix them up and get them running, and kind of clean up the interior and polish the outside, and don't worry about any of the rigging or sails or any of that sort of stuff. And you rent it for half price, and everything's good. But boy, it's just the destruction. Pretty amazing. And you see boats with no rails left, really just nothing, and the one side completely stove in. And then down below you've got just what's left of the masts. Well, here's Talisman's mast. This boot gets replaced. They got to get these cleats off. This part for the spinnaker pole, this winch, they've got the other side winch off. Show that in a second. The furler drive, these have to come off. This is going to stay, but the clutches, all of these fair leads are coming out. Halyard leads, and then they're going to just have to drill out the rivets on all of this and just take it all off. I mean, it's all got to come out, and in order for it to be painted properly. They've gotten most of this stuff out. He's done a pretty good job on this. This is for our baby stay, I'd imagine. Either that or my inner forestay. You know, they've done a pretty good job of getting most of it out, and they still have a ways to go. All this has to come off, everything, including these sheaves. Yeah, this is just keeping it in one place, but you can see how it attaches, and all this is blistering, all this paint. Originally, you can kind of see somebody had went and tried to mask around this and just paint this area because it was flaking, and it's just not the right way to do it. It has to be stripped down to bare metal. Aluminum is very, very difficult to paint. If you don't, once it's stripped, it has about an hour to 2 hours before it starts to create an oxidized surface on the a coating of its own on the surface of the metal, and once that occurs, you can't get a good adhesion on coatings. The radar reflector here will come off. Dwayne's taking care of making sure everything is boxed up and taken care of. Yeah, this is going to need to be probably sanded a little bit by Sunny. But you can see how this type of blistering, once this happens, you start getting salt water underneath the paint, underneath the coating. Now, aluminum will self-protect itself. It's very good about salt water, but it needs oxygen, and so if you get salt water in a crevice or in an area where the water's there but there's no oxygen, you're going to really start to see some corrosion. And so I think we're getting on this just in the nick of time. Yeah, these cleats, these blocks have to come off, all of it. This is what the base looks like without the winch on it. And this Barnett winch is going to have to be. Oh, this is Anderson. Cool. Okay. So these come off as well. Looks like the upper one's already been removed. And that's that.